Come back live and hot. Episode 32, 3, 4?
32.
32?
Big 3-2. Again,
Yeah.
with Eric and Tony.
Are we doing the no off the top? We should leave this in. All right, welcome back to episode 32 of the Eric and Tony podcast. We figured out what episode we're at. My waist size, 32, baby, since high school.
Yeah.
Eric, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being the first part of the show.
Pretend like we're like the guest on each other's show.
Dude, yeah. Hey, thanks for having me. You know,
yeah,
it's nice to be
such a pleasure.
The Tony to your Eric.
We're trying to be more professional. We're trying to come in with like some ideas and some topics we can talk about. You know, so we were like brainstorming yesterday. It was over at Tony's place, and
there's thunder and lightning in our brains.
Yeah,
and this is the storm that we had.
Hanging out with his son, and there was a couple crazy videos. Like there's so many videos that are on YouTube for kids that are like computer generated or like train, you know, like Thomas the Train, like back in the day, but now they have like that, but it's like modernized and it's like,
they also have like that, but they have like, so they have the CGI weird ones that like people do like weird train accidents and shit. And they also have like,
that was just crazy.
Dude, that isn't the half
It's like
of it.
if you like, I wish I still smoked weed because it is like the craziest shit that they have for kids to watch. Like, so I'm over at your place and Anthony's watching, Tony's son is watching this train video and it's a getaway train. And it has like these like runaway train. And it has like these weird like moments where it like shows like a guy in his truck that's trying to cross the train tracks. And then like all these like weird scenarios of like danger.
Thing where it slows motion, goes shh, and all of a sudden like there's the impact, and then like the big explosion.
Yeah,
and
but
stuff.
you like see the people like they're in their car and whatever, and then all of a sudden it just like bashes the side of it and like blows up, and then it does a slow-mo of like a bolt from the truck like going into the spoke of the train, and then the train blows up, and I'm like, what in the hell is this? It has like 800 million views.
It's not appropriate for my kid to watch. I like
it's so weird. It's like it looks like it's like for kids though, but it's like like such a weird thing.
That's why like YouTube's dangerous, because there's no way to really kind of like protect or filter that kind of stuff, even if you put like parental controls on and shit. So like I only like watch him watch that stuff, but like, you know, I'm not the only person that has, you know, custody of him. So like he showed me that video. I'm like, this is not for you, dude. Yeah. And then we were watching, like it came on yesterday.
Like Faces of Death. He's like, look at this.
Yeah. So, you know, but because of the fact that like I watched that one before and it blew my mind too. I'm like, what the fuck? Who makes these videos?
Yeah.
Like it's insane because there's like 242 million views. It's like, what is the point of this? It's just like a crazy thing. But here's the other thing too. So you brought up Thomas the Tank Engine, right? So there's like a, not just him, but other like cartoons and Legos and shit. People make like their own videos and they like repurpose them, and like they have like alternative fucking plot lines and shit. And there's like Thomas videos, and there's like mean engines like trying to kill other like, you know, engines and shit. It's like but they take all the toys and they can really do a pretty good job of making that cartoon by like doing the fucking like the Gumby type mouths on them. You know what I mean? Like a kind of a stop animation type thing. And so like that's another thing too, where like sometimes I'm like, I do think, you know, kids' cartoons are good for, you know, it's good for me to watch something like that.
We're watching G.I. Joe's a little bit.
Exactly. As my son calls it, Trader Joe's, which is hilarious.
Put on Trader Joe's.
I want to watch Trader Joe's. I'm like, we want to go to the grocery store? Like, no, I want to watch the show. The people.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That, and then there's like the musical ones. Those are really cool, where it's like computer generated, like it's like pinballs like going through like this weird like Edward Scissorhands contraption, and like bing boom boom, it makes like music and stuff. Those are pretty trippy.
It's more like Pee-wee's fucking big Playhouse type thing, where it's just like these weird contraptions, like ding, ding, and all that kind of shit. However,
nuts.
The real one, what's the guy's name? I wrote it down.
That one was nuts.
The Marble Machine. Mark, you should check this out at some point in time. It's Wintergatan, Wintergatan. I don't know if he's German.
Sounds like it.
Possibly. But the dude made an actual like, it is like Pee-wee's Playhouse, just a bunch of fucking marbles that go through and they drop and hit different noises and shit. And he creates a whole fucking song out of it. It is like,
he's like pulling levers and shit.
Yeah. And he's like, you know, tapping the thing to keep on beating shit. But like my brain hurt as to how the fuck he even made that shit. And it's all crude, like sawing and shit. Like it's like done with like a jigsaw and a bunch of weird plywood and stuff. And like there's like fucking cogs and pulleys and bent metal. And like there's a bass guitar somehow like made into the machine and stuff. And like and it only plays one song. It's like a fucking,
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would assume
Probably
he probably
yeah.
like the amount of time that went into making that machine and like planning it out. Like it must have took him like years. I would think it would take me forever. It'd take me like my entire life to come up with that. Like that is like the most intricate piece of like musical equipment I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah. It's so nuts, and it's
well. Then so we went. Anthony and I delved on him one time. And then he made like a newer version and it's like more streamlined and everything looks a little like proper cut and stuff like that. And like he was having this one contact point where like he ran like 30,000 marbles through the machine or something like that. And like he had like 10 misfires. Like, so I did this and I was doing like, yeah, I don't think he's German. I think he has a British accent or some shit. But either way, that's a terrible accent. Oh, that was taking a bit, well. But he had some like fucking miss hits. And it bothered him, so he was doing the geometry and trying to figure it out. And there's like a certain amount of like, he still likes to have the hole big enough or like small enough that it's like a decent, like it's a tough target. Like all this weird like nerd shit. But all I have to say, like coming up with that whole fucking system was like way impressive and very like on the spectrum. You know, like I don't know. It's a skill, man. I don't have that kind of fucking time.
It's definitely a skill, and it must be a passion. And I wonder if like the other like videos, are they all just the same song, or is it like it's all, but it's different machines?
Yeah, he built like the Marble Machine 3000, like a better version and stuff, and just kind of like
that is crazy. Yeah. Oh my god, that is like and it's so if people can understand, it's like it looks like a big wooden like robot or something almost. And then he feeds it, like cranks this thing and it feeds all these like silver, like pinball machine marbles, like up to the top of it. And then once he has enough loaded in, he starts like pulling levers and like undoing like string that's like hooked up to pulleys to like get the right timing. Like it's like, so it's not even like, it's not like he just cranks it and starts playing music. It's like he cranks it full of the marbles and then he's like moving parts around and like pulling levers to get like a drum bass. And then he's playing like bass with his, like, it's like so intricate and nuts. It's like an organ piper on like steroids or something. It's like so nuts, but I was definitely like impressed by it. Then what else we played? We played with Nerf guns. Tony's got a sick collection of Nerf guns. It's pretty cool. Kind of like modern, like fast forward from like 1980 to
my kid too. Also, like there's like some of the toys I got him this year for Christmas, like
there were a few basically
for real. I mean, like I was like, I do again. It's my first kid, so I don't know how old kids get into that shit. And then also too, I feel like at his age, I was into that stuff, but I also had an older brother who was like 7, 8, when I was like 4. So it was like I would play with that because of him by default and stuff. But like my kid like eagerly wants to do that shit, but he can't like cock the the Nerf guns very well.
Yeah, but he doesn't know the mechanics of it yet.
He's got a pretty good fucking eye though. He was shooting some targets and stuff.
Yeah, you did it right though. You got like, when you'd get stuff when you were a kid, like a Nerf gun, it comes with just like the 5 darts that come with the gun, and then you pop them off, and then you gotta go find them.
200 count.
Tony has like a whole bin just full of the darts, and so you can just sit there on the couch, and he has a little target that catches the darts if you were so lucky to get it into one of the targets. And man, you could just sit there all day, and he's got a sniper rifle, like a machine gun,
2 handheld Gatling guns, a Gatling gun.
Yeah, it's fun, and they are powerful. Like one pump,
do sting,
and just bam.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Is like, shooting my 4-year-old with them. The first time we I didn't test on myself like I should have, and he's like, "Ow!" I was like, "Ooh."
You're like neat now. You're like, shoot your kid.
So welts all over him and stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty fun though. It's like kind of interesting to see like how far it's come. Still fun though.
Yeah,
like the basics are still there.
It's interesting too, because I don't remember like the Nerf guns when we were a kid. Like at some point in time, they lost like compression. Do you know what I mean? They wouldn't like shoot as far. It'd be like a poof, it was like a went from being like a really powerful like gust of wind to like being like a little queef.
Yeah,
just a little
ball. Queef.
Yeah, ball's not going anywhere.
Queef gun.
Yeah, joke ass gun. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was good stuff though. Then being over at your place, that's another thing. Like, Tony has a new apartment and got it painted. It's decorated really cool, and that's like an understated thing as an adult. Like when you have to like furnish and like decorate your own place. Like it's not like your bedroom. It's kind of like your bedroom when you're a kid, but like when you're a kid, you just put posters up and you have like
you also get like the hand-me-down furniture and shit, and like I had like old beer finalia stuff from like my grandparents.
Yeah, bar, it's like a timeline of like how you've
Molson kind of Ice. Yeah,
you see like
chick with like 2 fucking beer steins and big tits.
Yeah, you see like cartoons and then like to like that kind of stuff, more vulgar, like you know, memorabilia. Poster, and then music and sports athletes and all that kind of stuff. But then like as an adult, you're like you can't decorate your apartment with like posters of Michael Jordan and Nerf guns and shit. You have to like, I mean, I guess you could,
big,
yeah. But you want to have it like look like a cool place, and you definitely made your place look really really nice. I was like really impressed going over there and checking it out.
It's funny. My neighbor the other day, I was ran into him. I was with you. You were like, he's like, hey man, you all moved in. I'm like, dude, I was moved in like the first week. Like I wasn't gonna wait around and be like, just how can I get this place together? Like the fucking second I got my own place, I was just trying to get that furnished and set up shop. Same way when you go camping, like am I gonna unload, like take a couple days to unpack my tent, get it set up. Like you just knock it out, put a couple, put the hours in to get it set up and shit. And then once you're there, it's just like, The only thing I got to do now is figure out this refrigerator situation because I got a Craigslist fridge. Not do that.
Yeah,
I've gotten several. We've gotten several refrigerators on Craigslist, and I have never had this problem where like I got a dud, I got a lemon, and like even the guy that like came to check it out to repair was like, "Yeah, you don't want to invest money in this fridge." I'm like, "God damn it,
this is a fucking lemon fridge."
You got had so
yeah, it does have a very high pitched like frequency that it.
The compressor's bad, so it just does like this.
Yeah,
but it's funny, like I can tune it out. I think I guess you get older and you can kind of, you're exposed to so much white noise and like job sites and all that kind of shit. You just kind of tune stuff out.
Yeah.
Like we can do that. My son though, he's just like I was talking about the fridge the other day. I was like, yeah, I gotta get this fridge fixed. It's making this noise. He's like, I can't nap. I was like, what? He's like, that's why I can't nap at the fridge. I was like, no shit. That's why I don't take naps in my place because my fucking refrigerator's too loud.
I mean, yeah, I'd agree with that. I had my toilet was like running. That was for like 2 months. And I was like, just like, shh, just constantly. And I just close the door, be like, go away. I don't know what to do with you. I had like a leaky faucet in my shower and it just constantly dripping. Just close the door, like, go away. Turns out it was like leaking into the fucking there's like some pipe that was like not, it was like broken. It was leaking into like the parking structure.
That's like, hilarious.
Yeah, for like a long time. I'm like, I don't pay for water.
Yeah, you clearly don't care about the environment.
Just like, you put those things off. I get doing that. And I put off like remodeling my place and like getting it kind of revamped a little bit. Because the last time that I had done that was when you were living there. And now it's been over like 5 years and 12 years.
Dude, it was like,
Well, since you lived there, but then like, since we bought all that stuff and like kind of decorated the apartment together, which I highly advise if you have like roommates. Well, at least what you and I did, everything is half off. If you're going, if you have a roommate and you're like, all right, let's fucking make this place look cool. Everything you look at, it's the TV, say a $500 TV. Guess what? It's $250. $400 couch, $200 couch. Like everything is half off.
Tally that up. And then, at the end, if you guys end up parting ways, you just fucking buy out the other person. Split it up.
Buy out the other person, or in our case, everything was so old and outdated at that point. It was just kind of like,
I just walked away from all that furniture, like the same way I walked away from all my divorce furniture. I'm like, all right, just me and my clothes again. On to the next fucking hermit shell to move into.
I'd say we got a good 7 to 8 years where it like was pretty good. Still looked cool.
That was like it really like
the couches were falling apart pretty bad once we had like. People sleeping on it, and just spilling shit on it. Like it was just like, all right. And like springs were getting blown out and shit. It was just
let's be honest.
Right.
We had like one of the heaviest friends of ours, like stay on a couple of couches that he just murdered them just from like sheer compression. Yeah. And then another one was living on a couch for a while because like we were taking in strays.
Like, God, can I just hang out here for a week? Yeah, sure. It turns into like months. You're like
a year and a half.
Right. So what's going on?
Like, that's the thing too, Matt. I don't know. Again, like your 20s and 30s, you learn a lot of lessons and stuff. And I'm happy that I don't have to ever have someone renting space on my couch again as an adult and shit. And like, I guess, we
did it as like a favor. It wasn't, we're like, hey man, we need.
Yeah, but like, there's the thing is sometimes you think people have the wherewithal to understand, like, don't wear your welcome out or the couch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, Yeah, you're just gonna fucking stay here until we have to say something about it, and like, you know.
I think even when we moved out here, we were sleeping on the floor at your cousin's house. And like every morning, like I was up before them, like had our sleeping bags rolled up, like cleaned and like
removed your fucking like carbon footprint.
Like I don't want to be any inconvenience. And then there's like other people that like don't understand that.
Hey, do you mind keeping it quiet? I'm trying to sleep on your couch.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to live over here
like
rent
all
free.
Weird and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but decorating is it's fun. I'm not gonna lie, it's fun to do, and then when it's done, it's like you feel like you accomplished something, and then again, you just like I'm like you, like well, I'll just like knock it all out and just work and work and work, and then as soon as it's all done, then I'm like, this looks so nice, and it's like it's worth it, and you feel like it's a new environment, new home, and all that stuff.
It's cool too, man. Like having my kid,
shit on all the couches and stuff.
He's so marking his territory. Like, no, when I first moved in there, he was like, oh, Dad, I love this. Like, I love it. And then like, I built some of the furniture in my place too. So like, as I was making it when I was living with Ben, or I was making shit at my new place, just like he was just like the biggest, like, high five. He's also my broke best friend who doesn't like pay for shit. And he's like, right. It just, he's there to shit
like,
on
feed
stuff.
Me.
Yeah. I need more food. But,
by the way, I just shit on your couch.
Yeah.
I need more Cheerios.
Oh my God, dude. Yesterday, he gets in those like, kids don't know how to clear their throat, so they can't like get the mucus out if they're trying to, if they got something stuck in there. So he'll just like he'll start to tickle his throat and he'll start coughing. And I'm driving back from Mar Vista after I pick him up in rush hour traffic, of course, right? And he starts coughing profusely and then just like throws up on himself. I'm like, just like mucus and water. I'm like, God.
Well,
damn,
I think there's adults that don't know how to do that too, or do it discreetly or respectfully. Because I was at Home Depot the other day, and some fucking asshole is walking by me and just open mouth coughs like as he's walking by me, like, and then I look right at him. I'm like,
yeah,
like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, put your hand in front of your mouth.
I say shit to people when they do that, dude.
You're fucking like coughing to your fucking side. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, and he knew like he fucked up. He was like I'm. Like,
yeah, I say shit to people anytime they do that weird stuff, dude. I have a zero tolerance policy with that shit. Like it's like I don't know if I just hit like a fucking breaking point when it comes to like other humans, where I'm just like, hey,
again, I think it's just like the older you get, the less like tolerant you are to like people's bullshit because you've dealt with it your whole life. And then you're like, this is unacceptable. Like, this is not how fucking people behave. And then when you see someone else as your own age doing that stupid shit, then you're like, no, like that can't happen. Like, you need to be like fucking like reprimanded, and like someone needs to fucking scold you and like shame you and shit. There was like rub your face in it like a fucking dog pissing in the like house or something.
I was dropping my kid off at school this morning, and some mom did like when you cough, you're supposed to do it in your elbow, right?
Yeah.
And she did like the gesture. It was just like I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was walking behind her. I'm like, God damn, man. I was just like, I really don't want to ruffle feathers. And like, first off, it never looks good. A man trying to explain anything to a woman, because now it's all mansplaining. Anytime you try to tell any woman anything, it's like,
you're like, hey, bitch,
you're trying to mansplain. No, you dumb cunt. Fucking trying to tell you how to fucking be a responsible adult in public, not like spreading germs and shit. And it's just like, trying to mansplain it? No, I'm trying to fucking explain to you that you're a fucking like a savage,
fucking
just like,
heathen, man.
Yeah,
just
for real.
Fucking just sloppy fucking just animals, dude. Like, even when people, like, I saw this the other day. This was like at work. Like, some customer
blowing their nose in a napkin. That is disgusting.
Dude,
you blow your nose in a cloth napkin at a restaurant, fucking kill yourself. That is
I see
gross.
people picking their nose, just fucking knuckle deep in there, just fucking in public. I'm like, what in the fuck is wrong with you? And then I had someone the other day that they sneezed, but they didn't like cover their mouth. They just went achoo and like sneezed, like open mouth, like just like away. I'm like, no, that's not how you don't sneeze. Like, just like, you don't just go like that and sneeze over there. You fucking like cover your fucking mouth.
That's now everywhere.
Yeah, like it's over there. And you think like people are going to walk through that shit? I'm like, oh, I just want to fucking drown everybody. just want to take all those people every time I see them and just
call
like
back to the cat episode
grab
with my
them
grandma.
and then slowly
Get the
like
bucket of water.
Exactly. Bucket of water them and just slowly just fucking just drown them and just be like, yeah, all right, next. Who's next?
You
Fucking
could send out a lot of
people are so
people.
fucking stupid.
Yeah. Speaking of stupid people.
So if you see Tony and I out and you're fucking picking your nose or fucking sneezing or
Watch
fucking
out.
open mouth coughing, watch out because I had a bucket of water for you. Fucking idiots. Mouth breathers.
Dead. Yeah, you know, like when we grew up,
My dad would just hit me. My dad would be like,
fuck you know. Yeah.
I would do something stupid like
You got a
that
runny nose?
as a kid.
Now you got a bloody nose.
yeah, and he'd fucking crack me upside the head. And he'd be like, I guess that wasn't right. I guess I'll learn my lesson. That's not
Fail.
acceptable.
Yeah.
Don't do that anymore. Those people like never had something like that or never were reprimanded. They're just like walking through life like fucking idiots.
Yeah. That's, I don't know, man. I have like a lot of problems with, with dealing with other kids' parents, because obviously like I'm in a sea of people I wouldn't really hang out with if my kid wasn't like, going to school with them, want to be friends with them and shit. And there's just like, I don't know. There's like a kid, my kids, when we were kids, Johnny, Billy, Joe, all these typical names and shit.
Yeah.
My son's best friend's name is a color, red. You know what I mean? Like, what is that? Like, if you have like, are you doing like a primary color theme with your kids? If you have a second kid, it's gonna be yellow.
Is he like
blue.
real like rednecky?
Nope. Cute little blonde boy, just like a nice regular ass kid. If he was like a ginger,
Yeah.
that'd be kind of funny.
Yeah. His
I was
parents
what is
like really leaned into it.
Yeah.
They're like, whatever.
His name's Red. It's short for crimson.
Call him Opie.
Yeah. It's Red because he blushes a lot. But like,
yeah, a lot of my brother's kids' friends, their names are like Tucker and Hunter and Carson and fucking all that stuff. There's not a lot of you have like I think my name, your name, my brother's names like very 80s, very like you don't have a lot of those like standard names.
I did the easy thing and name my kid after myself and shit, but like I was on the verge of having a stupid name. Like we thought we were having a daughter, and I told my ex, you name her whatever you want, and she's like, how about Ryan, Rhiaya? And I was like, how about not as many letters? Like, how about not that? And then like, luckily
Rhyi.
Yeah.
Fucking
put all the vowels.
There's a couple numbers in there.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you doing?
It's a silent zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's like that type of shit. It's just like, luckily, I brokered in like, if it's a boy though, then we have our first boy, I want to like name him after me. So it happened to be a boy, and we fucking, got rid of that scenario. But the juniors and the seconds and stuff, it's confusing, man. Like I had the problems with like that with the airplane and shit like that, trying to, sign in for the, the check-in and shit.
Yeah,
and
if you
I
have the
couldn't check
same
in.
name.
Yeah.
I wonder if like all those like names like that, like Harold and Herbert and Gertrude and like Gretchens and Glorias and Barbaras, like all those like old timey names and shit. Like, are they gonna like come back like as like, you know what I mean? There's like I'm missing a whole bunch of other ones, but there's like all those like old names like Dick. Well, like when's the next like anybody naming their kid Dick? That was like a big name.
Richard is the proper name for that. And
I know, but I like there's
my uncle switched it to Dick, and he is a dick, and it's just like I don't know if that's just like no, this doesn't define me. I need to.
Or even Richard.
Call
like,
me asshole.
Either one you want to choose. It's still like not a used name. Like, but I wonder all that stuff goes back. Like it's like goes in fashion, then out of fashion, and all that stuff.
When was the last time you met a boy named George? Like a child.
I don't know.
Not Boy George the artist, but like.
Yeah, I mean.
That was like an OG name.
Yeah, George, Hank, Frank, Steve, Mike, Joe,
Hank's a good
Jim,
name.
John, like all
That's
that
a cool
shit.
little kid name too. Hank, that'd be cool. Like, I don't know, Abe, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of fucking weird names out there. Just the rest of this podcast is us just saying names of fucking
this
people.
Name sucks too. I got a neighbor whose kid's name's Asher. It's a boy.
Mike's always a cool name. Michael Jordan, dude.
Yeah.
You're like automatically associated with like Michael Jordan if your name is Michael. Bam, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, then it's funny when you see those people that have like they somehow put like a celebrity name in between their name. You know what I mean? So it's like celebrity first name, their middle name is the celebrity last name, and then their last. So John Wayne Gacy, classic example, murderer and actor in the same name. My name's kind of like that because it's
like Paul Kardashian Smith or some shit.
Yeah. Well, like I have, who's Paul? There's a Paul Kardashian.
Huh?
Who's Paul Kardashian?
I don't know. I'm just making it up.
Yeah, you're just saying the famous. I'm just saying like
there's
like Robert Klein's a famous comic. My actual name is Anthony Robert Klein. So I actually somehow have weirdly on the back end staggered in like but like that's just my parents just picked those names, or my mom did. But yeah, man, John Wayne Gacy and then John Wayne Bobbitt. You know what I mean? It's the same thing too. It's like for some reason when that was the thing, it was like I want to have my son named after John Wayne, but our last name's not Wayne, so we'll just put that in the middle. You know what I mean? Just wedge it in there. I guess if you name your kid John Wayne anything, he's gonna be in the papers. You know what I
mean? Yeah.
Bobbitt, Gacy.
Yeah, man. All right, what else we got? We got some things. What would we go over everything already?
And that is it. Well, I wanted to talk about roommates, but
yeah, talk about roommates. You got some roommate experiences?
I mean, so you're basically going to be.
Yeah, I've always had roommates.
Yeah. Clearly, I was your best roommate, and I think you were my best roommate too. Ben was a good roommate. Ben was like shout out Ben Gonzalez. But
yeah, having roommates is a tough thing, because there's like so many like even when you and I lived together, I think for the most part, everything was always like pretty cool, but like we've known each other so long, it was like there's not that awkwardness of like it would be like, hey man, what the like.
But you're also a responsible person too, and you're like an adult. So like even though the first time you living on your own was like with me, it was still like you had like you were like a functioning person going out into society. Your parents did a good job like building you to be like an actual like a boat that's not going to sink once it hits water. Whereas a lot of people that are like half-baked fucking like projects and shit where their parents are supplementing their rent and like a lot of that thing was just like, oh, I don't know how to like do my own laundry because my nanny did it, and like what the fuck, what the fuck is going on? Like, there's just those weird people.
Those like
and then there's also like those like the kind of like only children that like once they're in the room, it's like, but this is all my stuff. It's like, no, it's not. It's a shared communal thing. Like just I had a room like that. Name will not be said. But like I picked up like a stray when I was living in Sherman Oaks, like, damn near 20 years ago.
Stray person.
Yeah. Well, it was like we became friends from working together, and then like his roommates were like moving to another place, and they decided to part ways. And then they were also friends with me too. And then once I was like, yeah, well, you can come stay with me. I got room. They're like, no, you don't want to do that. Like, guy's a terrible roommate. I'm like, what? And then it was like too late, and I had this dude living with me, but would just kind of like plop himself on the couch in the living room, which is like my furniture, my TV, and just kind of like fucking like bully the remote and just like fart and drink Bud Lights and shit. And I was like, what is this? Like, you're really making yourself at home way too easy here. And just like,
the common space. That's why it's called the common space. It's like everybody. So it's like not your place to leave your shit out and like leave boxes and fucking all sorts of garbage and shit. It's just like, like maybe bring that stuff when you're in there, but then when you leave it, then you take all that shit back to your room. Like it's like common sense shit. Like if I leave like a jacket on a chair, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot like my jacket's on the chair. I gotta put it in the closet, or I need to like put it back in my room. Like, oh, like there's just that awareness of like not leaving, leaving shit out all the time. It's just like leaving food out, like leaving fucking like, it's just like.
The nice thing is not having any roommates now, apart from my kid. I don't mind cleaning up after him because like he tries, like, I try to get him to help clean up, but he's just like, he's going to leave messes that like he's not going to be aware of and stuff. But like when everything's put away in my place and I leave and I come home and it's exactly the way I left it, I'm like, that is the nicest thing. Where there's not like this, who the fuck left this out? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you only have like a one roommate scenario, but like, there was a point in time when I had like, there's 4 dudes and my cousin Jess living in their like 2-bedroom apartment in Sherman Oaks and shit. So like, there's like anyone could be doing like, anyone could be the culprit for something and shit like that. And it's just like, oh man. And then you have like, the grocery scenario where like, hey man, did you take the last of this? And like,
really?
Oh yeah. That was like one of my other big pet peeves.
That's a weird fucking thing. Like, I don't think you and I never fucking like did that. Like, where'd all the fucking chips go or something? Like, it was always just like, because you usually went to the grocery store together.
Yeah.
And then just got like what we each wanted. And like, that's your shit. That's my shit.
Yeah.
And,
We did
you know,
that like too with when it was like me, Donnie, and Hawking. Like we'd like go grocery shopping together and shit like that. But then there was a point where kind of like everything kind of like split up things. And, you know, you kind of like, I don't want to eat this anymore. Like I've changed and, you know, that kind of stuff. And like, but yeah, again, just being roommate free. That's a life right there. That's like that's the way to go. It is worth the extra money just to fucking have your shit for yourself contained without anyone else touching it or getting into it. And just like,
yeah, that's a dream. That's a dream not a lot of people can have because the generation before us fucked us all. So now everyone from here on forward will always have roommates and living with fucking, you know, multiple people to fucking make rent or, you know, it's just so fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
I just can't like stomach like spending that much money on something that I don't have equity in.
Well, look, man, I mean, if, again, too, like I could even, you know, try to move back in with you, but like I don't want to like burden you with like my kid being like, you know, there's like a lot of, you know, ramifications from that stuff. And he's, you know, he's pretty chill, but like I don't like being an inconvenience to anybody. That's the main thing is like, you know, having like, I want to have like my kid be able to have a meltdown if it is and not feel like doubly bad because it's like he's having a fucking thing and then now my roommate's being affected by that. You know what I mean? So like for me, it's worth it to pay that extra money just to have like that, you know, for him.
Yeah.
And that's why he's not getting any Christmas presents. You want your own privacy, Matt? Yeah. So big news this week. I got the Oldsmobile back on the road.
Yeah, I saw that. That's pretty cool.
Burning, you know, 8 miles to the gallon once again.
Yeah.
Triumphantly risen from the darkness, from the shadows.
You just got to get that one like gray patch. Just get like an artist to like just fade it in. Like yeah, like it can't cost more than a couple $100 to just have somebody like pepper that in. It's like the only blemish on that whole car. Like everything else is like,
but you know, the patina I don't mind. There's some like, you know, it's starting to get a little. I gotta buff it out again, but like it is really, you know, got that fucking matte. I gotta figure out if I should do that and get like a clear coat on it because like you can get the wraps and stuff, but you do the wraps, you're using like a soapy water type solvent, right? So I feel like that in itself is gonna then promote rust because now you're layering it under like a big plastic bag, right? So like you have moisture in there, and my actual like paint, it's the old school like stage 1 paint. So the lacquer, there's not a clear coat in there. It's all mixed into like one layer. So like,
well, or just see how much it would cost to get like to get the whole car painted again. But I like your patina on your car. I like that it's like it has that like, you know, the inside is like immaculate. Everything's like period correct, and the paint is period correct too. It's just like that one spot. Like that's why I wouldn't even like try to paint it. I would just even it like do you still have that you have like a little dent on the back or like on the like the thing, like a little crease, like a little
it's like a axe kind of chopped.
Yeah. Like that's like cool. Like that's like little like scars of like a you know, a used vehicle, you know? Like I think that all that stuff
survivor car. It's fucking
it's just like it makes it cool. Like
57 years old. Is it crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy. It's fucking what is that? Like 18 years older, 17 years older.
15 years older than us.
Yeah.
Which is also kind of crazy because you think about it, being born in 82, you're not like, you know, it's like we're such a modern time, right? And you dial it back 15 years earlier, we didn't land on the moon yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we've been living out here for 17 years, right?
Yeah.
And nothing that crazy has happened. You know what I mean? We haven't been to Mars yet. We haven't like, you know.
We haven't been to Mars. Well, not people, but like rovers and shit.
Yeah.
That shit's pretty crazy. You ever see any video and pictures of Mars? That's fucking so nuts.
It's crazy that they color corrected to make it look like a red planet.
It's pretty cool.
I don't watch that kind of shit. I really like it's a fucking waste of time. I think the whole fucking I do. I really think it's just like what do you like again? My Wi-Fi in my house doesn't work consistently without being rebooted. Like, can we finish the shit that we start here before we start trying to do stuff across the galaxy? I do not understand that.
It's pretty trippy though to look at another planet, like a whole entire planet.
That's fine.
And you're like, damn, like no one has ever been there that we know of. And then like it's a whole like vacant planet, and it, like something that we created is on that, like rolling around and like taking pictures and videos and shit. It's fucking nuts. It's like, it's trippy. Like, and the cameras that are on it are like super 4K and like super high def and shit. It's like, it's pretty cool. It just makes you kind of think like, damn, like it's just so.
But the idea of like trying to terraform Mars and stuff, and like we're gonna try to inhabit that. It's like, or fix the planet we live on now. Like, again, if you can try to change an ecosystem on a planet thousands of light years away, can't you just do it here locally? Like, isn't that a possibility? Can we just try to do that?
Well, yeah, we should, and we are, but also I think like that the technological advances that are invested into like space and science, it helps us understand where we are more, so then we can fix problems here better. Like, there's one of the things I was watching the other day, it had they were interviewing astronauts, and they're like some space station, and they're saying that they're doing
or were they
organ growth for humans. They have a new a campaign or something that they're doing, where they found that when you try to recreate or like grow organs of people, or like certain like organisms, like because of the gravity of like Earth, like they don't like form right, or they don't like survive. But in zero gravity, they can like develop them, and they have a better chance of like surviving to be like grafted onto people, like or built out. So there's like things like that they're figuring out by going up there. Like, granted, they haven't like,
yeah, but you don't got to go to fucking Mars for that. You can do that like in orbit.
No, but I'm saying, but that's like the whole point of that, like going up there and like learning about, this whole universe that we live in, that there's like there could be like a whole bunch of crazy shit that we don't know about, or like a planet full of like something that you and I like eat, and it's a fucking like, cures everything. Like, there's all this crazy shit that could be out there. Like, just think of like all of the medicines and things that we have kind of cultivated from our planet, and like got just from our planet alone, like, everything, like all the pros and negatives, right? So what if you were to find a planet that has like life and organisms on it, and plants or something like that, and what things do they offer, or what harm could they cause? Like, all these things, like there's just so many possibilities. That's like the fascinating thing with astrology and space exploration to me, is that it's literally endless. Tony just spilled beer on his pants. Fucking loser. Idiot. But like, I think that stuff is so fascinating. It really like puts any bullshit like into perspective about like anything you might be like thinking about on Earth. You're like, oh yeah, but like it goes on forever, and there's like endless possibilities, and then you get like in multiple dimensions, and all sorts of stuff that just really makes you think outside of your normal way of thinking. And it's like an escape to kind of dream and think about, the possibilities that could still be out there or are yet to come. That's why all that stuff's so interesting. It's like, man, there could be like so many cool things. Like, I always remember my grandpa being like, man, this is like crazy. Like, he saw like the evolution of, like the telephone and the car, and like they were like,
again, but those are massive advancements. It's funny though.
Right. But like that was in his lifetime. He was 91.
I'd say what I've seen the most in the last like 20 years of like, as far as advancements go, like it was just Alex and I were driving to get lunch today, and driving down like Hollywood, there's just a bunch of fucking like.
Well, what do you think the biggest thing is?
The fact that people are fucking no longer with their eyes in the world or looking up, their heads are in their phone. That's
for sure. The cell phone.
And it literally is like the worst invention, where like, again, 20 years ago when I moved out here, walking down Hollywood Boulevard was a different experience. It was kind of rough then too, but like people were like aware, and their heads were up, and there was like, kind of like this thing, because you only had a flip phone. You couldn't just fucking lose yourself in this like little mini universe in your hand, right?
Right.
And like even back then, dude, like they weren't even colored cell phones. It was a regular ass fucking like, gray and green, cell phone.
Yeah.
It was a big thing when it became color, and then doing picture text messages and stuff. And then like in 2007 when the smartphone, the iPhone came out and shit. But like that is like the biggest change to like the culture, where there's like now people are getting like we're actually like, regressing, where you're getting fucking like weird spinal issues from being stuck in your phone all the time.
But
Dude,
I
I
think
saw a motorcycle accident on the way to drop my kid off at school today. And like, luckily the guy didn't die, but he was like standing up and like he was texting on his phone. But the way his neck was bent, I'm like, it looks like your neck's be more fucked up from you texting than your motorcycle accident. Just like this weird, just a weird fucking time, man.
it's definitely like the same as like, you know, like the automobile or something. It's like, it's so weird because like if they look back, they're like, oh, it's just horse and buggy. And then like now everything is, there's cars everywhere.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like when you watch an old film before like smartphones came out, like no one's like, you're like, oh, why don't they just call cell phones? Like, oh, they don't have those then. Like even like the 80s and 90s and stuff, you know, like all the movies, there's no cell phones. It's like weird, like fucking, you know, cord phones or like.
Well, also too, a quick Google search right now. You have like a handheld encyclopedia, right? Like,
yeah.
if you wanted to know something, you have like, I remember this, and I got to either go look it up at the library, or you know, or like if you were lucky enough to have like an encyclopedia at home, you could try to look it up. But like, just the hands-on technology, like you know, information is kind of a plus. But yeah, I really think it kind of just
It's such a conundrum because like it really should make everybody more intelligent, but somehow it managed to make like everybody dumber, like or people that don't use it like properly, like are dumb. You know what I mean?
Well, you have the
like,
same access to like you know, healthy food as you do fast food, right? So like, how many people are overweight in this country? You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it takes just as much effort to eat healthy as it does to eat shitty, and
right.
I mean, people just try to, you know.
Again, though, but with the smartphone, you think like people would like access that information and learn about that, but they don't. So it's like it's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink, kind of a thing. It's like it's all right there, like everything to make you better and you know make life better, but like no, you're not choosing the right thing. So I think it's definitely the biggest invention or change in society since like the Industrial Revolution. It's huge, it's giant, and I think there's so much more that's going to come with that. I think the next like big thing is going to be AI, and it's already like just creeping in, like just now, like ChatGPT and all that kind of stuff is like just starting to like take off, and quantum computing. Once that gets in full effect, that's when it's like almost like sentient, where like they can like start thinking themselves, and like then it's at like that question of like, what is consciousness? Like, is a computer that like I forget that documentary we watched where it's like there's a box sitting next to a person, and it like you ask the box the question and a human the question, and they both give you this like a genuine answer.
Yeah.
Like then what's to say that the box or the thing inside the box, the computer, isn't alive and that the person is? Like, what differentiates the two if they're both giving you the same kind of answers, you know? Like there's nothing to really like, it makes you question like what is consciousness, which is something that we still don't know about, that we're still like looking for, we're still searching, we're still like researching, and are really clueless about. There's like so many like everyday things that are like even dreams. Like people are so
dude,
like,
I saw that they made like there's an actual like Japanese machine that
I saw that you posted that. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
If you haven't seen it, people, it's like it is a device that records and then it can actually recreate your dreams so you can view them when you're awake. I don't have dreams.
I would like to see that. I would like to see that.
I would love to see if that actually records something, or I do actually legit have blackness. But yeah, that'd be a fucking trip. I would love to volunteer myself for that experiment. Like fucking beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of shit like that. Like even with like you know, DMT and like psilocybin and all that kind of stuff, where it gives you these, you know, visions, and a lot of people have like same experiences and stuff, but it's like so new. Like not a lot of like they started a new test in San Diego with I forget the name of the company, but they're doing like sample tests of like DMT, and you can do like a DMT, you sign up for it and you have to get accepted in it, but you can do like a DMT trip for like 6 hours. And they have like a case study, and they're doing like, I don't know how many hundreds of people, but they're testing them to see the benefits of that. And they say like already that there are benefits to psilocybin and mushrooms and DMT and all that stuff for people that are having like near death, or like that have cancer, that are dying, that it like something happens when they go on these trips that it like releases endorphins where like when they come out of it, they're not like afraid of like death or afraid. They're like, oh, like I'm just like, there's
like Biggie Smalls, I'm ready to die.
yeah. Like, or like they just see like another perspective of like what this is to be like a human, you know, the human experience that you'd only get when you dream or like certain, like you gotta get doses of it throughout life, you know, without drugs. But like to be able to like kind of control that, you know, it was pretty crazy stuff though. But again, I think we're like just at the start of learning about ourselves now that we're like, we've evolved to like, you know, where we are, but like, okay, now we're like, we're making shit and we're building stuff, but now it's like, okay, like if we can survive as a species long enough, we'll eventually figure out those things, and know like what we're capable of and what our minds are capable of and what it means. And that's like fascinating too, to like think about that. Like people, like as far as we know, us as a species right now is like the farthest we've gone of learning why we're here or what we're capable of doing. Like right now, like everybody else, like even 100 years ago was like, oh, I wonder if we could, there's no way we can go to the moon, like all that kind of shit. And they're like, oh, you know, then it took 100 years and they're like, oh, we figured out how to do this, you know, like they got to that. And same thing with so many other aspects with like medical advances and
there's this thing I fucking watched, dude, and it was like on Homo sapiens and fucking what's the technical term for fucking
Homo erectus?
No, what's the caveman?
Neanderthal.
Yeah. So there was like I think there's like, I don't know how many dozen different species of like Homo sapiens, right? So you had like hominids and all that kind of stuff. But like the Neanderthals were like, they weren't just like a regular human that was a little bit like the bigger forehead. They were like fucking beasts, dude. Like just like, they were like 10 times as strong as us. And like, they were like just warriors dominating and fucking, and they're like one of their best sources of fuel and food was eating humans and shit. Like they would just fucking go and just clean up and shit. And there was this, at some point in time on the planet, there's only like 50 Homo sapiens left. That's why our actual like ability to evolve, there was such a small pocket that repopulated that we don't have that kind of evolutionary like options. Like chimpanzees are the same way too, where there's not like a lot of diversity as far as evolution goes, because we were so close to extinction that when we tried to repopulate, there wasn't enough like variance and stuff like that. I forget what the ratio is. It's like 1.2
21 gigawatts.
Yeah. 21 gigawatts. Like 2% of like variation from like the evolutionary standpoint going forward. We're like the average species is like more like I don't know, fucking like 50 or 70, some like extravagantly larger than ours. But because we're so close to extinction, those other options are no longer on the table, which is like interesting as far as like our, you know, trajectory that going forward. But I forget what is like some like, you know, cataclysmic event that like basically wiped off the Neanderthals, because they would have basically just wiped us out. Like they would just fucking.
Well, and then going from Neanderthals to the Homo sapien, right? That's what we are. Homo erectus. I think that's what we are.
Some kind of homo.
Some kind of homo. They all barely survived that. Like that's why everybody's originated from Africa, because at some point there was another cataclysmic event where there was only like 9,000 or 7,000 people like Homo erectus that were alive like on the planet, and they all were in Africa. And that's where like, so like imagine the whole world's population of everybody is like shrunk down to like less than like, what is it, like 4 bleachers at Dodger Stadium or something, you know, like that in the whole world. That's crazy. So like
grandstands,
there's like there's so many, like the odds are so stacked against us in like surviving, where it's like at any moment too, like there could be an asteroid that just fucks it up, or like a sun flare that like takes everything out, and it's like throw us back like thousands of years or hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions of years.
Well, you have like the elite that have the bunkers. You know, we know about you.
So, I think that's that too. But like that's like where we are as a species is like we're close enough to like keep ourself alive from a catastrophic event. Like we're knowledgeable enough to like fix something that like an asteroid that could be coming, like we could figure that out. Not me personally, obviously.
True, but you are right though. Like a solar flare and stuff like that is completely out of our hands. There's nothing we can do to combat that. That's just like we're just fucked. Like a polar flip too. That's another thing where like the planet just stops and then starts rotating the other way. Like, you know how much that would fuck us up.
Well, that would never happen. I actually listened to
You
Neil
did
deGrasse
research?
Tyson.
Okay.
Yeah, I researched it. And
Me and my buddy Neil figured that out.
yeah, it's so the poles switch, but the rotation of the Earth it doesn't switch. It doesn't ever do that. Yeah, it just doesn't.
How
do
come the
that.
Nile used to run a different? I don't know. I got questions about that.
Yeah. Now I'm telling you, watch Neil deGrasse Tyson. That guy is fucking so fucking brilliant, and just like I watch him every night, and I just like get my mind blown. Just like everything that like it just makes you just like whoa, like holy shit, all that stuff. Those are great curtain rods. But yeah, so home decorating, but yeah, all that stuff, man. It's just like so fascinating. I feel it's like such an oversight for so many people. Like it's like the craziest shit ever. Like it's like the absolute craziest fucking shit, and nobody like.
Meanwhile, people are like, can you believe that Cam left Kanye for fucking Pete Davidson? She's like, who gives a fuck? The polls are switching.
Yeah, it just like I feel like it should be like it should be like on the headline of every paper like every day, and like if imagine if all of humanity's like focus was on that, like how much further we'd be along instead of all these other like distractions and money and
well, do you
all
look
these
at that
things,
with like
you know, it's
with
just like
COVID? Jesus fucking Christ!
there's just shit falling over everywhere.
No, that was a cap on that. It was a full beer with a cap. It's knocked over.
Knocking shit over.
With I guess you could say now if you. But how we all got together to fix COVID, right? And it was like the next thing should be how to fucking get rid of cancer, and the next thing should be how to fucking fix the ozone and all that shit. But
yeah, but then you have all these fucking idiots that get in the way of it, and they're like, "You can cure it by putting bleach in your body," and fucking that asshole was the president at the time. So you have like all these fucking speed bumps in the way that are just like you're just like slowing it down. Then you throw in religion. It's like none of this is true. Like dinosaurs and humans live together, and the world's only 6,000 years old, and it's like fuck, it's slowing down again. You're like fuck, like it's just all this like slowing of the progress of education and advancement. That is like so frustrating when you hear someone like a Neil deGrasse Tyson or a astrophysicist or scientist or someone that is really trying to move the ball forward, like you're just like, oh fuck, like it's taking so much longer than it really needs to, because there's not a lot of funding. I think there's like the amount of funding for like NASA is like it's something like super small. It's like I don't know. I don't even know what to compare to, but it's like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of what we spend on like something that's fucking totally stupid. Like the NRA or something, what they spend a year. It's like, 50 times what the fucking NASA's budget is. Like they're working on like crumbs and shit, like fucking to try to do all this stuff. That's why like you have all these people like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos being able to fund their own things, because they're way more funded than NASA is, like way more funded, way more resources.
Yeah, you ever see like the cool thing about when Tesla first started doing or SpaceX started doing launches is how like futuristic. That's the first time a spaceship looked like a spaceship you'd seen in a sci-fi film.
Yeah, and the spacesuits are like normal and shit. They're not like go boxing,
ergonomically designed and shit, and like there's like a whole bunch of cool like the actual screen layout and stuff, whereas like the NASA spaceships looked like you went down the fucking accessory aisle at AutoZone and got the toggle switches. I'm like, dude, I would not trust this at all. This looks like a fucking like bad science experiment.
Like the government space program is like, it's like all the AutoZone like parts, like the chrome fucking lining, the Yosemite Sam mud flaps and shit. And they're like, all right, somebody get in this fucking thing. We're getting up there. And then you see like an unlimited amount of money, or like basically it's like $100 million compared to like $20 billion. And like what the difference is like, oh damn, it's like, that's a sleek fucking like, a Mercedes, white interior, like looks all nice and shit. And then you have this clunker,
but even Elon Musk's shit still blows up. That's the other thing that's crazy.
Right. But that's like all part of it. It's like those explosions are part of the process of learning to make sure that stuff works right. So when people are in it, they're not in it when they blow up. But again, it's like that's probably why those people fucking died in 1980 when they were trying to go to space and they fucking all blew up. And they're like, you know, if they didn't have like the amount of funding that they were limited to is like so small compared to what like these independent contractors basically are able to do, you know, like.
Yeah, that I don't know. I still wouldn't. I'd be very hard pressed to ever take a fucking shuttle off this planet and anything that's come across yet. And people are already like, you know, signing up for like the commercial flights to space and stuff. And I don't know, man.
I think if you and I live to be like 90, then that would be an option to do that. I think go into space.
I don't want to live to 90. So by 88, I'd be like, yeah, fly me to a blow up shuttle.
I don't want to live to 90 and have a life of what you and I perceive as like what a 90-year-old person's life is like, where you're just like, ugh, and you're like in a vegetative state and you can like, you're like drooling and shit and you're like can barely walk. Like I want to be 90, but like feel like I'm 60. And I think that is a possibility.
Yeah. If you can get like some, you know, your joints rebuilt and stuff, but like, I don't know. What I would never do is try to do like the transplant your consciousness into like a robot or a computer or some kind of shit that to fuck, you know, like singularity. No, thank you. I'm good on that. That is like a nightmare. Yeah,
I don't like, well, you could like freeze your head or something. Like people do that. Yeah. Freeze this, figure out how to make this a robot and turn this back on. Then again, it's like, look at like, you know, death is like another like unknown, you know,
it might be the best thing ever.
Yeah. It could be like, damn, this is like the fucking
shit. Died years ago.
Yeah. This is fantastic.
Had I known,
you know? They say too, it's like, you know, people that are like scared of death or whatever. It's like, well,
pussies.
yeah, fucking pussies.
Pussy dude.
It was like a lot of people will say, you know, well, I was dead for, you know, how long old is the universe? It's like billions, like 5-6 billion years old or 7 billion years old. It goes, well, I wasn't around 7 billion years before and it didn't hurt me. So being not around in the future is going to be the same. Like it doesn't affect you. You just like disappear into the ether, you know?
It's all recycled energy, man.
Yeah. I think that is true. I think everything is like, you're all one, you know, like as hippie-ish as that sounds. I think everybody is just like energy, like, and that's where reincarnation is, where it's like those same like molecules and energy, it like doesn't go away. It just is like in a different form. And so like, that's why like people are like, oh, they're always with you when they're gone. It's like, technically I think that they are, they're that energy is always still there. And it just gets like either turned into a tree or it gets fucking, you know, you whatever, like it or turned back into a human, but it's not that person. It's just like that energy is always there. It just like percolates.
Problem is if you have like only a given amount of energy in the whole universe and it can't be, you know, created or destroyed, right? So it gets recycled. At some point in time, you're going to get like the point of diminishing returns, right? So like in theory, if everyone that's on this planet is like some kind of recycled energy, it's now getting watered down because we have so many fucking people.
Say they have a theory that, so all the energy in the universe, and it basically like, you know, like the Big Bang theory, right? So it like, it blows up and then like goes back down and then goes up and goes back down and just does that forever. Like that's it. So the energy is always there. It's just like retract. Like right now we're expanding. The universe is expanding faster and faster and faster. It's not the same pace every year or every 100 years or million years, whatever. I don't know what the data is. You have to look it up, but it's faster and faster. So it's going away faster and faster. So we're constantly like moving away at a higher rate than we were, you know, years before. But they say eventually like that stops and it starts going the other way. And then it just like kind of like this pulse. So it's like, and that's just like our universe of what we know. There could be like other ones that are, you know, it's like fucking crazy, man. It's fucking crazy shit.
Yeah. Well, on that crazy note.
On that note, well, think about that. Well,
we're out of time.
Yeah, we're out of time. Hope you enjoyed this Eric and Tony show. This crazy talk.
Yet again, talking about stuff we don't really know that much about, except for interior decorating, kids shows, and G.I. Joes.
Yeah, you know, just take it with a grain of salt. Maybe look up some space stuff. And
hey, feel free to add in the comments anything you want us to talk about that we don't know about. You know, because we'll talk about stuff we have no knowledge about.
Yeah, I'll give my
We're
opinion.
good at it, dude. I'll talk about shit I have no idea about.
Give my opinion on something I've known nothing about. Well, what do you got going on, Tony? Where can people find you?
At Tony Klein Comedian on Instagram and around town. Check my stories or posts for shows and stuff. Otherwise, right back here on Monday on our next post.
Yeah.
Eric, where can the good people of the internet find you?
You can send your hate mail to Eric Rustler.
DMs.
Yeah, slide in my DMs. On Instagram, it's under Eric Rustler. This podcast is under the Eric and Tony Show on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Every Monday, I post the full video of this podcast, so you can have a beer and listen to us bullshit and hang out with us in your comfort of your own home. I also release the full audio of this full podcast on Spotify every Monday as well. So if you're driving to work and you just want to hear two guys talk shit and ramble on about things they don't know a lot about, like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. And if you'd like to support this show and you appreciate Tony and I coming down here to the studio, you appreciate our producer Mark and Petty Cash Studios for giving us the opportunity to do this podcast, you can show your support by going to the Eric and Tony Show and purchasing a beer mug or a t-shirt. We have some other apparel on there too. And it really helps us out, helps us, pay the bills around here. But other than that, really appreciate you hanging out today, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.